We are in our stewardship season, and I'm really thrilled to welcome our stewardship speakers for today, Dave and JoAnne Babbitt from the J.T. Babbitt Foundation. They received an outreach grant, and they're here to tell us more about the work that they do.
Thank you very much for that very warm welcome. I think it's important to share with you our story. About 15 years ago, on a Sunday afternoon, our 16-year-old son was playing basketball with his youth ministry group at St. Patrick's Church in Chatham. And John had just had his physical. He was a junior at the Pingree School, played 3 different sports: football, basketball, baseball was his passion. We thought he was totally healthy until that afternoon when he collapsed from sudden cardiac arrest, and unfortunately, attempts to revive him were unsuccessful. What did we learn from that? A couple things. First of all, sudden cardiac arrest does not discriminate. It can affect anybody at any time and without notice, and at any age. We also learned that with sudden cardiac arrest, time is the enemy. For every minute that you do not start CPR and use an AED, your chances of survival decrease by 10%. So you cannot wait for an ambulance to arrive if you want to survive and stand a chance of survival. We also learned, and most importantly, and this is really taking off of Reverend Paul's sermon today, that life often deals hard knocks, or things are hard, situations are hard. But you're really not alone. And Dave and I, since then, have not been alone. So what have we done? We started a foundation, and with the goal of putting these life-saving devices, AEDs, automatic external defibrillators, in places of public assembly. And since then, because we've had help from people like you, we've been able to donate over 650 AEDs. And these devices we donate to churches, synagogues, food pantries, shelters, nonprofit entities that are really serving people at risk, special needs organizations that otherwise wouldn't be able to afford them. And not only is it important that we donate AEDs, but we learned quickly that we need to train people. We need to train lay people. With sudden cardiac arrest, you do not need to be a doctor or a nurse to save a life. A lay person using their hands, doing CPR, and getting an AED, which was designed for lay people to use, can save a life. So far we've trained thousands of people, over 6,000 to date. How to use an AED. If you don't have an AED, what to do. We also found, because John was 16 years old at the time, how much it impacted our youth. And so we make it a point to make sure that we work with our youth. We have active heart clubs at Chatham High School, at the Pingree School, at Seton Hall Prep. We've worked with university students, Villanova, Fairfield. And these students, it is generated by them. The power that they have to get things done, and how important this initiative is to you has been nothing but a joyful experience for Dave and I. working with our youth and making sure that they feel empowered is just a real critical part of our mission. We also learned quite quickly that we need to work on legislation, and I'm so proud to share with you that New Jersey at one point was one of the worst states as far as being prepared to deal with an out-of-a-hospital cardiac arrest. And in the last 15 to 20 years, we are now only one of 7 states in the country that has the laws in place to make sure that CPR is available to everybody and that AEDs are present in all schools, nursing homes, and other areas of public assembly. One of 7 states. And a lot of that was a result of us changing the laws in the state of New Jersey. We were responsible for getting the Good Samaritan law passed. So you were granted immunity from civil liability if in good faith you try to save a life with an AED. We were also responsible for getting AEDs put in all schools, K through 12. And it wasn't just Dave and I, but it was individuals. And I think the thing that's most amazing, it was the students. We brought them down to Trenton to testify. And the power of their voices made our elected officials listen and change the laws. Most recently, I'm also so excited to share with you that we've been approached by the NFL to help them with legislation. I'm sure many of you recall the Buffalo Bills player Damar Hamlin a year and a half ago, who suffered a sudden cardiac arrest event on the field in front of millions of people watching TV. That situation was the perfect example of people that were trained and untrained responding to a sudden cardiac arrest event. And since then, the NFL has been trying to take on this challenge of how do we get this country to be heart safe. So last month I was down in Dallas working with a group of people from American Heart Association, American Red Cross, just trying to figure out how we can get legislation like we have in the state of New Jersey passed so that we as a country can say that we're heart safe. We can't thank you enough to the Outreach Committee and for the grant that you so kindly gave to the John Taylor Babbitt Foundation. We've come so far in the last 15 to 18 years. We still have a long way to go getting AEDs on New Jersey Transit and in other places of public assembly. But as Reverend Paul said, we're not in this alone. We have individuals like you helping us on that journey. If you leave with nothing else today, just remember this, that the worst thing you can do when you are faced with a sudden cardiac arrest event is to do nothing. And as I watched them say to the Buffalo Bills training staff who received the SB, the Pat Tillman SB Award for the work that they did in reviving Damar, as I watched them say, please, everybody, learn CPR, learn how to use an AED. Thank you for your time, and hopefully I'll see many of you after the service today.